Kuphi na kuphi emakhaya emadolobheni asekomplasta khona sawubona ke bukele and a warm welcome to this week's edition of Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Luhlelo konelethela konke lokuthinsa nine nemalungelo eni njengebathengi. Mina ke ngiSimphiwe Ngqongwane. Bekunene indzaba yethu ke namhla iyakuphocelela ukuthi ucabangisise. Ubukusise kahle ngaphambi ukuthi uthenge imoto ke lesebendile noma ke elisekeni.
I regret that I bought a car online because the body looks fine, although underneath is a piece of something.
That is one angry Cape Town motorist, not out of road rage, but from the outrageous experience of buying a supposedly good car, in her words, only to discover that it is a piece of something that she never expected.
Ubuyelo Mpepho uvule unyaka 2025 enenjongo yokuthenga isithuthi esiva yena usibhuqe wasibhuqa kwindawo ngendawo.
Ngabe ngicekisa ke ngabanye abantu into ba okay khawujonge nako auto trade something like that, then I look shame nyani ndayifumana kwa auto trade le moto ndayithanda ndabe ndibona ke nako TikTok abantu beyibonisa be reviewer ne
ekugqibeleni wasibona phi kwi-internet wasithanda zangalibazisi wakhwela emnxebeni waxelelwa ukuba asinasiphene sisesitsha yonke into yaso ithe tse akabi naxhala. Khumbula ubuyelwa yena useKapa sona isithuthi siseRhawutini kwathiwa akho ngxaki apho.
Ndathi kuba masenze video call sa video call kwakuhle kwa right, especially ngaphakathi ne-engine eyona nto yayingamandla ke kum ekuthiwa mayijonge emotweni i-engine ndafika right yonke into ndakholiseka nangaphakathi, then sa ndenza payment
zaqenqeleka intsuku moto uphi ngelingeni yathi yafika.
Ndithi ndisaya emotweni ndibone kweli cala lika driver ndibone man ikhona into eyenzekileyo ayo originally yemoto lebhamba la nti ke laphi phezu kwetaya yemoto ndiyibona into ba ayifani nale lapha ezantsi ingathi ixithwe ngento uyabona udityaniswa ayiyo original. Kwangoko ndithi xhungu ndijikeleza imoto nalapha eback ndifike naphaya inayo ilanti kukho izcratches ezininzi.
Ubuyelwa zange akholelwe wothiwa ngakumbi xa ebhaqa into yokuba esi sithuthi sasikhe santlitheka engozini saphinda sakhiwa ngokufakelelwa sathengiswa njengesitsha ngenjongo zokukhohlisa umntu ongenaliso elibukhali lokubona lo mgunyathi. Ubuyelwa ufuna ukuphuma kule ngxaki. Wena ungenza ntoni ukuphepha esi zeliku? Vuyisile Mdoda, Yilungelo Lakho.
Hayi sibuke ke lo mbiko lesendele ke nguvuyisile Mdoda. Manje ukukhuluma kabanti ke indzaba yethu ke asesimukele ke Petro Ntaba lomele i-National Consumer Commission, siphinde sibe na Malcolm KV lobuya ke ka View for You inkampani lehlola timoto temasekene. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Alright, ndaqala ngawo ke Malcolm usichaze kabanti just expand on what we've just heard and whether this could have been avoided.
Simpiwe, firstly, how's it, man? This could have been avoided.
Yeah.
You know, the story is painful, and we had the privilege of doing the post-purchase inspection on this vehicle. So I hlola thina le moto asethengile umama. And into ebhlungu wakholwa bona labantu abadayisa le moto. Wabakhola angithi uyamuzwa uthi bamenza i-video call. Wabakhombisa i-video call balalele emakhaya ungayikholwa ngoba kubonakala kalula ekwivideo kumele uthole umuntu okuhlolela njengathi. Kube nje lo mama wasibiza wathi hambozani niyongihlolela le moto nithinte niyibone ngani ithi amaZulu ngosi. Hayi bengiyakenzakala le nto le. Ngisho njalo mfowethu.
So yini le kumele kuhlolwe for her to have made a decision ukuthi cha le moto lena i-right?
So mfowethu kuningi and hlala sibatshela abantu qala ngomlando wemoto i-service history yemoto. Qala le moto yakashayiswa na. Qala ngezinto zamaphepha kuqala. Uma usujabulile wena ngenhliziyo bese ubiza abahloli bemoto behambele bona beyihlola le moto and mabeyihlola le moto bethatha isikhathi sabo mfowethu imoto akuphuthunywa ngayo moyehlola uyibheka ngaphakathi uyibheka ngaphansi uyibheka na ku-engine uyi-test drive wenze yonke into ubone ukuthi yonke into iyasebenza mose uqede lapho ke mfethu usungasho ukuthi le moto isimo sasinjani mfethu.
Yeah. So mina nje i-experience ye-car inspection njengoba ngingenayo is it advisable ukuthi ngi-inspector mina noma should I always get the car inspector?
Mfowethu nami bengisitshela ukuthi ngiyazi lento le ngeke ngaba nazo imoto eziningi singazihlola imoto. I thought I knew how to inspect my own car. Listen, I've been scammed myself.
Really?
Bought a car in Cape Town when it came to Durban when I was in Secunda then. The vehicle was a lemon. I bought a car in Durban when I got there to the airport. The vehicle was a lemon. Myself, and I thought I knew. Until we got into the business of vehicle inspections and I realized how much I do not know. So it's important. Whether you think you know, get a second eye, get a third eye. Very important.
Yeah. Beto, what's your thoughts on this?
Look,
could this have been avoided?
This could have been avoided.
Yeah.
We normally say simpwe kumthengi anything as ayithenga kwi market inspect. The question to say can I inspect as a consumer or do I need to bring omnye umntu? He's an umntu who understand imoto. It could be if you simply understand the imoto I want to buy, well and good, and other services as well. And let's not rush the process of inspecting imoto. As umama esisho that the engine was good, the body was good, test drivanga imoto. Xa ifika kuye ubona all these problems, and also relying on a supplier akho nto wrong nalapho because ngabo abantu abayaziyo i-product abayithengisayo.
Yes.
Ayo fault consumer that i-product ayithengileyo ayo product ebeyilindele. It's a piece of something le athetha ngayo. Ayo fault yakhe. Urely heavily kwi-supplier. And umthetho utsho Consumer Protection Act itsho iti nika umthengi amalungelo wakhe including umxela information about imoto, whether it was involved kwi accident, zonke problems ezikhoyo if any. To say kumthengi imoto ayina problem knowingly that ikhona ingxaki ngemoto, that is contravention of the Consumer Protection Act, but also ukudlala nge-feelings zomthengi because uthatha le nto uyithethayo uthenga i-story sakho enze i-payment close to 300,000 miles away only xa ifika imoto that i-problem ikhona. This could have been avoided, and we're saying to e-suppliers avoid situations ezifana nezi. It's not about a sale only. Yeah. It's about rights as a consumer and safety of consumer at the end of the day.
And the big question is, how do we avoid this? And e-supplier, are they not protected under the food stoots law or tatile?
Ayikho itatile simpiwe. Lo mthetho lowo awusekho ku-Consumer Protection Act. We inspect imoto as umthengi, you assess needs zakho, you inspect imoto, you test drive imoto, uza nabantu aba understand the product even better. Now so we fumene imoto ikuniki problems a couple of months or weeks or even before 6 months. If I get paid 6 months imoto uyithathile ikuniki problems, uyibuyisela kumthengi and say ndicela uthathe imoto yakho, ndicela i-refund, ndicela i-replacement okanye uyilungise imoto leyo. So amalungelo abathengi goes to further to say I choose go 3 abathathu ukuthi ndifuna eyiphi. Now it becomes a problem xa umthengi esithi nazi problems emoto athi omnye adlale i-delaying tactics. That's what we have noticed. Some suppliers badlala i-delaying tactics so that iphele la 6 months, but it's not the end of the road for umthengi even if 6 months iphelile. For as long when we investigate si realize ukuthi apha umthengi uqhathiwe, amalungelo akhe awarespectwanga, we'll definitely take a matter to the tribunal.
So do you think this has been an isolated case, or just how often do you get such cases?
We do get cases as Fananezi, Simpiwe, and we will get some of the matters when we start investigating. Of course, the supplier would say, look, yes, we were wrong. But also, we also work with the ombudsman, where they will start, bangenelele even before.
Okay.
But what we don't want to kungenelele, investigations and all that. Irresponsibility as supplier to provide goods as free from defects or free of defects, usable and durable. So if umama cannot use la moto ayithengileyo, what's the use of paying 300,000? Is supplier ihleli nemali ena interest umthengi uhleli nemoto that they cannot use. It's not an isolated case, but it's just one of those painful cases where you feel ukuthi i-consumer kuthathwe advantage. One, she is somewhere in the Western Cape. Secondly, mhlawumbe you can even say it's because ngumuntu obhenqileyo. Akanamntu omthembileyo kweli cala to inspect imoto, you know. So let's go an extra mile as abathengi. Get umntu who understands imoto. Go an extra mile so that when utenga uyazi ukuthi at least le moto you are going to enjoy for a period of time.
Absolutely.
But of course, this is not the end of the road for umthengi.
Absolutely. Asishiye lapho ke. For now, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Leli Yilungelo Lakho. Ungasanyakati. So kumona futhi ngibukele leli Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. You can call us on the numbers on the screens right now, 011-714-0671 noma ke 011-714-0672. These are participation lines. Ungashare licingo khona manje la e-studio kuvakalisa umbono wakho noma ke umbuto. Ungasithumela futhi na WhatsApp ku 060-844-9857. You can like our Facebook page or even email your views, your thoughts, your questions to consumer@sabc.co.za. Namhla ke ngifuna ukusikhuluma kabanti ke, especially you Malcolm. Kuthi nasikhuluma nge-car inspection, what does it entail? I would imagine it takes far more than just kicking the tires, uvula ibonnethi, uthi engine clean le, ayisihamba Cape Town isibuye. What does it take?
Yeah, so Simpiwe, you're right. I think people need to get this right. Inspecting a vehicle takes time firstly. We need to settle that it takes time. Buying a vehicle, you should never rush. You should never buy it under pressure. You should also buy it when you're well rested. Uyabona nje ngendlela ogqoke ngayo wena namhlanje umuhle so ungahamba ugqoke so uyocheck imoto ngoba kumele uyingaphansi kwayo imoto. You cannot go inspect a vehicle dressed all snazzy because you need to get down and dirty. You need to go under the vehicle. You need to go in that engine bay. You need to put your hand behind when you suspect something. You test every single thing on a vehicle. You know, a lot of people just go, as you say, just kick the tire, 10 minutes and they're done. It's impossible to inspect a vehicle within 10 minutes. So we again say to the people at home, get all the history done. Get a service history done. Get the service history. Let it be sent. Let us review it if you don't know how to do it yourself. Get all the paperwork trail. And then once you are happy, another thing which I would love to highlight to the people at home is many people are buying cars, either the mileage has been reversed. We've now launched a campaign where we're catching dealers throughout the country that are reversing mileages. Another one, they're buying cars that are rebuilt, code 3, which we'll discuss. This is exactly what happened with Sisbuyelo's vehicle. Sisbuyelo's vehicle, to just give you a quick minute on the story, she has a RC1 document. She has a certificate of registration from, she says, from DECRA, and she has this document. However, when this vehicle was taken to another testing station in Cape Town, it failed. So, and little did she know that vehicle was a code 3, it was built up. They didn't disclose that to her as well. See, these are the things people don't look at. We are finding these people are prowling a lot on females. This week alone, we had maybe about 10 complaints, females contacting our company, saying, listen, help us. So guys, please, inspecting a vehicle, take your time, be well rested, check every single thing. Ask that salesman,
yes.
Ngicela umtshele uthi ngicela usuke sisafuna ukuyihlola le moto sithatha isikhathi sethu. Uofaze wonke amabhathini wabona ama-aircon ayasebenza uye ku-test drive. And listen, Simpiwe, another thing, let us normalize doing lengthy test drives. You can't do a test drive around the block and say, hey, le moto le hi.
But then do I have a right to test drive the car?
My brother, you
have
some
dealerships, but see, no, you need to be approved and so on and so on.
So you have the right to test drive a vehicle.
Okay.
You need to practice a thing called your caveat emptor. Buyer beware, meaning that you need to inspect every single thing. You know, when we did the inspection the other day with the SABC, we were showing them. People don't even know that a tire has a manufacturer date. People don't even check that. And now we had a client that bought a vehicle from a so-called reputable dealer. We inspected the car. We told him these tires have a problem. He's like, no, I like it. Don't worry. Don't worry. Both tires blew out on his way to Vereniging. You understand? Those are important. Your life is at stake here. You show dealers these things. You buyers are complaining for everything. Listen, take your time. You need to, I don't know how to drum this into South Africa. If you are taking less than an hour inspecting a car, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
You have robbed this inspection. My brother, you need to check that paint, especially the orange peel. Look at that paint. Look at the gaps. If the gaps are not aligning, ask questions. If the paint differs in the orange peel, ask questions. Any leak, do not believe that guy. Oh, no, this one is just don't believe them.
So if the dealership does not allow me to bring an inspector, should I forget about the car?
You run away, and you don't look back. No dealer is supposed to. We have a list of dealers that have refused inspections in South Africa. If you go onto our social media, you'll see there's a list of dealers that now refuse inspection. Why? Every single car we've inspected at those dealers has been lemons. And South Africa, yeah, brother Malcolm out here, please stay away from Johannesburg CBD. Do not be buying cars on your own day. We have a problem.
Really? Why?
We don't even inspect it no more. We haven't even, it's to date, not one car's been bought. So you're wasting your money even booking our services to go there. We will just say no. We have a list. Your Kezinas, there's problems. Your Zambezis, there's problems. Your Mgeni Road in Durban, you do not buy a car in those places without an inspection company. You do not believe anything any of those dealers say. You stay away. However, I must also say, there are dealers that are approaching us now and are saying, listen, let's collaborate. Let's raise the bar. Let us make things right. Let us work together. Let us have, transparency and honesty. So we are in talks with some of them. So, and that's what's happening. Listen, my brother, it is terrible. We are yet to find, however, a reputable dealer in South Africa. We have not found, not even one, till today.
Yeah, and I want us to talk about Code 3 in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
But, Petro, in terms of the amount of victories that you've had, is this an indication that this malpractice is now subsiding?
I cannot say it's subsiding, Simpiwe. Looking at the complaints for Manai on a daily basis at the NCC, when you look at the complaints, the categories in motor vehicles, second-hand motor vehicles in particular, Zezona, Ezitata, a lot of complaints, a lot of work that is required, a lot of money that we spend there as well as the NCC, including imali that's being spent by consumers, because they will be running around, even try to fix imoto and all those things. While sithetha nge-inspections, emphasize the inspection of imoto, let's be honest, bangapha abantu abayi-understandayo imoto from A to Z. Whether Malcolm just said tonight at some point he got robbed or something like that. Ethenge imoto, we understand. How many people understand imoto? That is why kune provisions with Consumer Protection Act if we tengile imoto and you're not happy with the quality, is standards as a dealer, you're not happy, you've got every right to take the vehicle back to the supplier. You asked a question about test driving.
Yes.
If I can be allowed to hop into pants, dizame, try on the pants, because the phone was tenga. What's stopping them to allow me to drive the car? Because I want to be comfortable.
Got you.
Imoto, I find with Ibluke, for example, a pair of shoes. It's a car. It's the second highest installment or rather item that you can buy in the market. Now, if we are going to as suppliers, allow suppliers rather to say, don't test drive, take our word for it, we would be failing as South Africans. We have done a lot as the NCC. We have taken matters to the tribunal and of course in favor, we got a judgment in favor of the consumers. And also, where a consumer would say, a refund or a replacement or whatever. We got as of victories. But the battle is far from over because we receive complaints on a daily basis.
So under what circumstances then does a supplier win against the buyer? Problem, it would be problem on the part of the buyer.
Look, when it is all dependent on a complaint or those issues, for example. In a case where a consumer there's something wrong with the car, but they cannot prove or they cannot, it's tested, it's, let's say, or Malcolm, for example, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the motor, or it's just wear and tear. Of course, a supplier would walk away, with victory and all that. But when we look at the complaints for Manayo, it's not your wear and tear complaints. The genuine complaints ati ndithe puma e garage okanye kwi dealership. Imoto ayavumu wamba 200 kilometers away. I had to pull, difune a tow truck. I had to book accommodation. I had to do this and that. Ndibadala le moto on a monthly basis. Imile next to a garage kwam. I cannot utilize the vehicle, So we're dealing here with complaints as serious. It's not your wear and tear. It's not the issue. The battery, for example, battery iphelelwe, so I can replace it. But of course, the imoto funeka ibe durable for a period of time. But we're talking about serious complaints.
Okay. All right, let's take our first caller. Sina Victor ulapha ke Hammersdale. Sakumukela enhlelweni sawubona.
Hello.
Good afternoon baba, how are you?
Unjani?
Siyaphila kunjani baba?
Yaphila. Ngicela ukukhomenta lana.
Yeah, go for it.
Ngiyabona la niyakhuluma kodwa nathi into ebaleke udlula yonke into. Never i-customer libone imoto efonini bese likhuluma over the phone lisuke lapho liyofaka imali lithi lithenga imoto over the phone. That is not working. That's no good. There is a lot of abantu abagangile and lento kwathi wisho ukuthi abangathengi imoto eGauteng naphela. Don't buy imoto eGauteng. Yeah.
Okay.
Ngicela ukuthi lonto niphakamise kakhulu ukuthi don't look at the car efonini then wena ngisho ungamfonela umuntu ukhulume naye sigebengu. Ngoba awukwazi uyibone le moto ubona isithombe.
So kahle you always advise people ukuthi babhadale imoto lese bayibonile bay test driver.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Aye kuyona imoto ayibone engaqasha ngisho iUber ahambe nomuntu onolwazi ngemoto. Abantu besifazane they get caught so easily.
Yeah, unfortunately. But thank you so much for your call. We do appreciate your time. Victor there is calling us from Hammersdale. Mbukeli asasiphindela ngasetitolo hlala kanye nathi kungasanyakadi leli Yilungelo Lakho. Welcome back, everybody. Our participation lines are still open, and we're taking your calls right now. You know, studio line 011-714-0671 or 011-714-0672. Ungasithumela futhi na WhatsApp ku 060-844-9857. Ungasithinza futhi ku Facebook. You can also email your thoughts, your questions and suggestions for any topic of your choice to consumer@sabc.co.za. Namhla ke sikhuluma ke ngemoto emasekeni ukuthi yini lekumele ukwadi ungakayithenge ke imoto yelisekeni. What is it that you need to do to inspect your car? And from the discussion that we've been having, it's very advisable to get a car inspector before you buy a car. Now, in the insert, Magela ukhalekithikena bekanga uthi le moto code 3 yini ke code 3 and how do we classify that?
So code 3 simpiwe imoto ekashayiswa phelile nya. Njengoba uzibona lezi thombe bezilapha emekhuluma ifahlakile nje le moto. Code 3 bayidima by write off but it's a right of car. So abaningi abantu and leyo moto once yabuya emgwaqeni ishibhile mfowethu. Asithi mhlambe bidayiswa mhlambe ngo500,000 mayibuyela nje 100,000 mningi kakhulu. Uyabona lezo imoto sebabanjwa abantu njengomama yazi kwenzakaleni ngomama la lo mama ngathi ethenga le moto bayihambisa imoto kodwa nalo phepha balihambisanga lalandela imoto isihambile but okay nayo ke le phepha so siyabatshela even today we released a statement on our social media saying never buy a vehicle second-hand vehicle, never buy it without looking at that document. I'm hoping that they will show this document here today. On the document you will see it states vehicle status. Babukele makhaya lalelani kahle. Lapho ebhalwe i-vehicle status khona, melwe ibhalwe u-used. Ingabhalwa u-built up. Built up is the code 3. Oh, iyona ke leyo inkinga leyo moto leyo.
Nakubithiwa ngama-rebuild.
Ima-rebuild naso ke mfethu. Iwo balekani makunjalo. Iyona ayinankinga kodwa
so i-rebuilding ngayibona nje at face value.
Kakhulu baba. Nami ngeke ngabanjwa nge-rebuild. Ngathi ngipholo ngabanjwa ngingazi. Sengikhulile sengiyabona ukuthi mina ngithenga imoto enkinga. And lapho you lose your money. Because you paid 100,000, you're going to sell this thing, the guy tells you, but that's a rebuild, this thing is scrap. Then you end up selling it for 20,000. So you're buying a loss. Do not be fooled by that. And a lot of these dealerships in Johannesburg CBD, they're buying them at Auction Nation, which is a salvage place. And then these cars have been written off, there's problems, and they're just bringing them back on the road, and they're getting these fake RC1 certificates like that one. She has a legal fake RC1, but when we took it to another registration place for roadworthy, it failed. How was that attained? We need to close that loop as well. Who is this company that's giving fake RC1 certificate registrations to these unscrupulous dealers? We need to deal with them. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Malcolm, make me understand. Let's rebuild. Imoto got into an accident and then both doors were replaced. So rebuild, is it when the car part has been panel beated? or replaced?
It depends.
If the door has been replaced, does it qualify as a rebuild?
It says what the law states. It states that it needs to be rebuilt to manufacturer's standard. And if it's not, then it still falls as a rebuild. And many of these guys are not, there's the pictures, and many of them are not rebuilding it to manufacturer's standard. And it's still
what does it mean, manufacturer standard?
To the standard of how it passes the laws. For example, is a store fit? Is it working? Is it safe? Firstly, can we use it? Oh, yes. Now, these guys are not doing that. They're going to get a scrap backdoor part that doesn't qualify for the standards, but the car's getting a certificate and it's back on the road. And that's the problem we are having. Is there anything wrong with a rebuild car? Personally, I think not. There's also a fine line, because some insurances are writing off certain vehicles and calling it write-offs and maybe code-ing it. However, we want to see the pictures of how it looked before.
Oh, yes.
And that is what draws the line. Because you can live with it. Some insurance, a Lamborghini, small smash, 2 million, we can't fix this thing. Write this thing of code 3 years. So once we see the pictures, and we are saying to dealers out there in South Africa, people do not believe a dealer again. If the dealer says that they're a touch up, I send the touch up, motor in but before touch up.
So lama dealership gelotfola ukuthi imoto ba advertiser as brand new guns abasho lokuthi I rebuild. What should happen?
What should happen to those people?
Yeah.
But let me tell you a quick story, which I shared with you just now in the break. My brother, we're sitting with Jaguar Land Rover Polokwane. A guy by the name of Botale bought a vehicle. He bought a Jaguar 2.1 million rand Jaguar. We're covering that story. That case is still not on. It's going to High Court, that case. Why hang motor brand new? They reverse the mileage, which is the biggest thing in South Africa. Do not believe these people. Their mileages, they're reversing them. Hence, do not buy a car. You service history. Mileage. So that when the inspection put. Some combis namanje baphika kodwa na bonke ubufakazi bukhona baphikile. So le nto lena ngithi bazalwane awuze ngumfundisi phela mina ngumfundisi phela so ngithi bazalwane so bayela mfundisi silalele so into ebalekile ekumele siyenze ngisho iyintshi imoto mfowethu asihloleni. And it's not the only one. We've had many where people have bought cars thinking they're brand new, just to find out later when they want to sell the car, change of ownership. No, you're not the first owner. You're the third or second owner. This is common in our country.
And it's becoming a pandemic, Petro.
Serious.
It is becoming
buying a car thinking it's brand new, yet it's a rebuild.
A challenge Mbugele Khaya is when a supplier ingaxeleli problems emoto. You can buy a car, but nansi problem, and the engine, for example. Problem yayo, and if we are this is what is going to happen. If that information before a transaction, then you would have taken the motor okay. But the problem is when they don't give you information, but it's brand new, or even if it's used, but yes, it's used first owner. And there are problems. What are the problems? There are wear and tear problems or issues, and of course there are very serious issues that if you take a motor, it's going to cost you a poco 20 number one, but secondly, it might cost your life as a consumer. So we're saying, if you find yourself in a situation, Leo, do approach the authorities. We have an ombudsman. We have the National Consumer Commission ourselves as well.
Okay.
And of course, we are mindful of the fact that we're dealing with a bulk of complaints, particularly in the motor industry.
But then, for the suppliers, declare that the motor is second hand or a rebuild.
Look, this is the Bible that we use when we talk about consumer protection.
Okay.
This law actually tells your obligation or your responsibility your supplier to say, if you are selling something, declare.
Yes.
Give the consumer that information upfront so that as you decide whether uyayithenga or not.
Okay.
As you decide ukuthi if ufuna ukuyithenga uzayithenga, let's talk about imoto, because ufuna ipart uyoyisebenzisa for something else.
Okay.
Give the consumer that information as you decide. Don't tell them after the fact.
Indeed.
And then you play, hide and seek. Now kufuneka umnike redress.
Okay.
It's not about a sale. It's about the safety of consumer and other road users on the road.
All right, let's take our next caller. Sinaneli ula eSoweto sakumulo ehleleni sabona.
Yebo sawona futhi njani?
Siyaphila kunjani mama?
Ngiyaphila.
Khuluma nathi mama. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Ngihlala eSoweto. I bought a car on the 1st of December 2023. And exactly a month later, in the middle of the freeway, I called the dealership. This was studying. I'm holding it back to home. So when I contacted them back, what was the problem? Because it stuck. And mind you, I had just driven it around the block, and interior and exterior and the engine, like everything looked fine. And it was not my first time purchasing a car from that dealership. So I told them what was happening, and fast forward to that, I got a private mechanic, registered mechanic, to come and assess it. And they discovered that the engine had seized. Now, there was no oil, there was no water on the vehicle that caused the engine to seize. I called them. The dealership told me about that clause that I bought the car at sea. So it was now my responsibility. It has got nothing to do with them anymore. I then wrote to the ombudsman. I wanted legal advice and so the reason I'm calling you guys is that I want reports now because the car is still parked in my premises. My warrant is there. I had a 20,000 that I still needed to pay to them because I had paid it in my car and topped up a total of 140,000. So there was a 20,000 balance. They have my original paper of the car that I traded in. They've got the money that I topped up with. They're refusing to give me the original registration of that vehicle that is still parked in my yard, and I only use for a month.
Sure, Nelly, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry hearing your story, but NCC Equalize Studio, they'll definitely help you. So please tune in to Yilungelo Lakho on SABC 1. They'll definitely help you after this break. For now, let's take another break. Sisitshelela ngasethi makethe hlala kanye nathi ngibukele siyabuya khona nyalo. Leli Yilungelo Lakho. Sikomukela futhi mbukele kukhumbula ukuthi incingo tifla solo tivuliwe kuthi ke nawe ungaba ingcenye yale nkulumo yethu namhla ungashaya icingo khona manje la e-studio ku-011-714-0671 noma ke 011-714-0672 ungasithumela futhi na WhatsApp ku-060-844-9857 noma ke usithinze etingudleni tekuchumana ku-Facebook. You can even email your views, your thoughts, your suggestions, your questions to consumer@sabc.co.za. Alright, ngicela ke sisite nelike ngalendzaba lena ukhuluma ukuthi wathenga imoto nga-2023 nga-December and then engakafiki nasekhaya ke engine yavele yasiza and she's been given the runaround. Ukuthi ke in this particular instance, what could have gone wrong and what could be done to assist her?
Look, I think...
And ke ukhulume ke nge-footstool law, and I suppose this is one law that so many unscrupulous dealerships use.
Unyanisile, they use that law and now they take it to as far as giving you a separate document. When you sign, you know, or approve a deal or when you tata a deal, they would give you a separate document to say, if there's a problem, for a period of a month, you can bring the car back, or if you drive it for about 1,000 kilometers or so. It's not, it doesn't supersede the CPA, it doesn't supersede the law. Okay. It's just a piece of paper, abai printer, abai attach, either to intimidate you or just to say go away. Because abanye, they know that whatever motor biting is in a problems, you might drive it for a month if you are lucky, or for about 1,200 kilometers if you are lucky. Regardless of that piece of paper, if you have a motor and it's giving you problems, do file a complaint. I think Uneli did the right thing by checking with the supplier. And also getting someone to inspect the car and check the car. And of course, it's after the fact, but at least she did something and, you know, filed a matter with the ombudsman. I think she can reach out to us. We need to understand where the matter is now. Because once Miosa Ikrebengayo, they will give advice to say either supplier, we are in favor of the consumer or whatever. But even if ombudsman, we are not in favor of what you want, we're in favor or we support the supplier, nothing stops you from approaching the NCC. Do approach us because we are independent. we are going to look at the merits of your matter.
Okay.
And of course, information or proof when you file a complaint. Even if we were to issue a non-referral, basically to say, we are not going to take your matter to the tribunal.
Yeah.
Nothing stops you from taking, in fact, we say to you, take your matter to the tribunal because you might have given us information engaphelelanga, because that's exactly what happens half the time. And then when they go to the tribunal will start asking for more information.
Yes.
And of course, a ruling in favor of the consumer, which is well and good. But we could have avoided your waiting for longer. The NCC takes their time. And then by the time usa imetayako a tribunal, maybe you are discouraged. Do not be discouraged. Don't throw your consumer rights away by saying it's fine, I will pay for lemoto no ba a problem eating. But I think the question you could say, Simpiwe, if footstoots, I say if footstoots. You cannot say you bought a car as is.
Now it's a scenario, which means it's a law that doesn't apply anymore.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. They use it, but it doesn't exist at all.
Really?
You can show me Simpiwe who would walk into a dealership and say, I'm buying this car as is, in a faults, in a problems, in lemon. Knowing that I'm going to drive for 200 kilometers. I get come to who wants a car. I mean, they've assessed in its zabo, buy a car, it's fine, I'm going to drive for 200 kilometers. That time, usuka e Gauteng, driving to Limpopo or Western Cape, ndifuna ubonisa abazali, only for the car to drive for 200 kilometers. That is why ingaseko, effort starts. Particularly when you look at the Consumer Protection Act. Declare, tell the consumer what are the issues, and indicate to problem one, if we are kubekeka, these are the results. Number two, these are the results. We tenge uyazi, but that's what they tell consumers to say. No, by the way, we tenge uyazi, you have signed.
Sure.
Let's not rush into signing those documents.
Yeah.
Read and understand the contract before signing. Just like test driving the car, just like inspecting the car, the document that you are going to sign, understand what you don't way sign now.
Absolutely.
We have cases whereby you go like, ouch, we could have done better after the fact. But we are not experts. We have all Malcolm Z experts. Even I can be scammed, even if I understand the ECPA, because there are times where you go like, this is it. I mean, you sign, and then you go like, okay, what happened to my consumer rights again? So consumer protection starts with you as a consumer. Yes. Understand your rights, understand when to use the rights, but don't say consumer is always right. Understand your rights, know when to use the rights, and immediately when you realize there's a problem with the motor and the supplier is giving you a runaround, just walk away from that supplier and of course approach the ombudsman or ourselves as the NCC.
And don't rush to sign.
Don't
That's
rush
the most
to sign.
thing.
Don't, because you're giving your consumer rights away.
Yes,
we will attend to
away.
your matter, but it's going to take longer. The emotional damage, you have a car. Your friends are laughing at you because imoto yako imile awukwazi driver. You're still using a taxi or whatever the case is. But also a payment on a monthly basis. Even if we take a cash or a loan or whatever the case is, you shouldn't buy a motor that is not going to be durable, at least for a minimum of 6 months.
Okay.
At least for a minimum of 6 months. Now, if I'm to 30 days or 1,000 kilometers, it's not provided for in the Consumer Protection Act. Okay. They know very well. The fact that they give you that piece of paper, by Azuguti, it is not provided for. And once you sign, it doesn't really mean the fact that you sign then it's over. No, it doesn't work like that.
Malcolm, your thoughts? Advise
Firstly, with the footstoots, I just want to add something. We need to define what the footstoots clause is. The footstoots clause does not necessarily mean as is. It means as is with patents and latent defects being disclosed. You see the difference there? It's not as is. Mele ungitshele zonke inkinga ezibonakala ngamehlo nazingabonakali. Bese uyithenga ngaleyo ndlela. Iyona ke footstoots clause. I-footstoots clause akuthi naye thatha lento so ngicela ungichazele okay dabukile lapha leni so ukubhale phansi.
Then I can make my own decision
ukuthi ngifuna yini or not. That's footstoots. So lo mama mangabe basho njalo akababambe ngentamo ayisebenzise le footstoots anishongo lokho bese babamba ngayo ke.
Okay.
Yabona nayo umehluko lapho ke abantu abaningi bathi footstoots bese sewenze njani ngo footstoots. No, unamandla mawuthi footstoots ngoba abakhombisanga yonke into ebengabona ngisho nomntana oncane otetayo ebengabona bonke lamaphutha usungambamba kanjalo lo muntu.
All right. Hi ke bekunene, let's take a final ad break. Sihlangane nasibuya etitolo leli Yilungelo Lakho. Welcome back everybody. Saqhubeka futhi nenzaba yethu. Kepha singaqhubeki, let's take a very last caller. Sinamandla ulapha ke ePitoli. Sakumuntu enhlelweni sawubona.
Hi, ninjani?
Siyaphila kunjani baba?
Ngiyaphila.
Aw, khala kusithi. Khuluma nasi baba. What's on your mind?
Yes, I'd like to raise the matter lana ukuthi the National Consumer Council can only take matters which are not complex. Because let me explain now. Your contract that we sign includes yourself as a purchaser, the dealership, Otenga Guyo as a merchant, and then it includes the financer. Now, between the three, you can make a complaint to the dealership, and then they will say, no, there's nothing we can do until you approach the National Consumer Council. But what they will then do, Consumer Council, is engage your matter only if it has the dealership without illegal representation. Thereafter, if they find illegal representation, then your matter becomes complex because they will view it in terms of, is it winnable, is it not winnable now? Because the more the other representatives, in the case, the more complex it gets for our representatives with National Consumer Council.
So is this a general comment, or have you had experience in terms of ukuthi inzaba yakho was deemed as complex or non-complex by the NCC?
I do have experience. Even the matter is still continuing even now. Because the person who helped me from the National Consumer Council was afraid of the ombudsman. The ombudsman made a ruling against me now. So to give a background, I purchased the vehicle.
Okay.
Within 7 days, I took it back to the dealership. And then what the dealership was supposed to then do, because I requested a cancellation of the purchase, which is still within the stipulated time, was initiate that. But they did not. And then so I had to report the matter to the ombudsman. The ombudsman didn't look at the legal prescripts of the contract. Instead, they looked at the mechanical complaint of the vehicle and then said the dealership was compelled to fix and bring the vehicle back. So, my case was that I wasn't looking for the vehicle back. I'd initiated a cancellation. And so the ombudsman ruled against me, and now I went to the National Consumer Council. The Consumer Council then took the result of the ombudsman and said this matter is complex. They can only push it so far.
Okay.
We went and had a round table with the dealership. But then at Lapo, the dealership plainly put it that for me to get my money back, I'll have to go to court. So I'm approaching the court as is.
Okay, fortunately, ikona ke NCC ila studio, and yeah, she will weigh in on your particular matter. Petro, ungamluleka umthini ke Mandlela?
It's unfortunate because
okay, maybe for some background, nakuthiwa ke case complex or non-complex, what does it mean?
I was actually going there, Simpiwe, to understand the complexity of the case yakathetha ngayo.
Yeah.
Because if it's where he bought a vehicle, I wanted to understand whether there was an issue with the vehicle. Because he said after 7 days he took it back to the supplier, right, to cancel the contract. So that's where we need to understand, is it because of the contract I signed? He's not happy with the terms of the contract, or he's not happy with the vehicle itself. In a fault, it doesn't meet the requirements of Section 56, right with 55 of the CPA. So the complexity of the matter, that's where we really need to understand. And I think he can reach out to us. We'll look at that matter, check the reference number, and just understand the complexity of the matter. Right now, I cannot really say yes. Of course, you would get matters that are very, very rather complex.
Because the fact that Utsi is taking it to court, it means Utsi he couldn't get recourse from the NCC.
Yes. That's exactly what it means. And again, he says he took the matter to the High Court. And Tina, if we are not going to take your matter further, we are not going to take your matter to the consumer tribunal.
Okay.
We will issue a notice of non-referral,
Okay.
where we say we are not going to refer your matter. However, you can take your matter to the consumer tribunal yourself, right?
Okay.
Now it sounds like as a stage, I cannot tell whether we issued a non-referral or what. We just said the matter is complex.
Okay.
There's a document that we're supposed to issue, so that we close the matter.
Okay.
And we're supposed to say to him, go to the consumer tribunal. But it sounds like he went straight to the High Court, Hence
right.
I'm saying we just need he needs to reach out so that we just understand that matters. Dingamnikeza information wrong.
Okay. Malcolm, before we wrap the show, what are the most common mistakes that consumers and car buyers make? And is it confined to a particular gender?
No, it's not confined to a particular gender.
Okay.
I think the biggest mistake is that they trust the dealer. You don't trust the dealer.
Yeah.
You don't trust the salesman. The dealer wants the deal. Ungabakhola labantu. Uma ungakhona ukuyohlolela imoto,
So I should trust my car inspectors?
biza thina abahloli.
Okay.
And the good thing about View for You, sikhona yonke South Africa yonke, alikho idolobho la singakho khona. So uma udinga umuntu ozokusiza, ngicela nisifonele, and abanye sibasiza mahala mfowethu. Sibatshela nasefonini, yes, ubonani kuleyo moto. Awukumsendele isithombe baleka. Yes, we've done that many times. You can see people writing up. So ungabakhola abantu ube kahle lo ubaba ofonile, ungakhonto ebona efonini, hamba obona ngo-C uyithinte bese uyayithenga imoto.
All right.
Ungabakhola.
Malcolm and Petro, great chatting to you. It's been a very fruitful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bless you, brother.
Thank you.
Hayi kwanyalo kumbukele sesifike emaphethelweni ehlelo lethu namhlanje ngithanda ngibonge ivakashi lethu namhlanje ngesikhathi sabo. Ngithanda ukubonga kanye nani ke babukele ngekuba nathi kuze kube ngimanje. Asihlangane futhi evikini elitako lapha sihlangulethela ke lenye indzaba letawutsinza wena nemalungelo akho njengemthengi. From me Simphiwe Ngongwane and the rest of the team, sithi nisale kahle, wishing you all a great week ahead. Cheers.
Oh,